Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick's next Dragon Ball Z story. What if Pikkon was wished back? And I'm really gonna enjoy doing this because Pikkon's one of my main favorites, and he's actually canon. So, finally, besides small little, things, we are gonna be going into a story about Pikkon. And don't worry, we're going to be seeing a bunch of Otherworld characters down the line, but mainly Pikkon. It's also going to go faster than you might think, because you got to put Pikkon in the moments where he'll actually matter, but all the same, you're in for a good story. Now, before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything that the past, present, and future of the Omniverse has to offer. With all that said, let's begin. So, for those not familiar, Pikkon is a otherworld warrior from the West Quadrant under the tutelage of the West Kai, and was shown to us in the filler arc of the Otherworld tournament. But considering the fact that Dragon Ball Z Kai showed him and all the other world, including Olibu and multiple others, goes to show that it might not be as filler as we may think. So, either way, he was shown in the Otherworld arc, and he was shown to go with Goku to fix the Otherworld people in hell. And by fix, I mean put them the frick down. Goku put down the Ginyu Force, but when Cell rushed towards him, super perfect Cell, mind you, we saw Pikkon deal with him in two blows. Two blows! He put him in the dirt. And then he squashed Cold and Frieza with one blow. Now, I said that the Otherworld war arc is not as filler as we may think, but considering Frieza's there and it's not in his cocoon, you could either make the argument that he was moved to a cocoon and put as Mecha Frieza, or they just decided, as canonizing Pikkon and Lebu and the Otherworld Warriors, just to show them off and just change who they are a bit. Since they also didn't fight, it was Krillin and Yamcha that fought him in Kai. So it's to be argued, but for all intents and purposes, we're going to say that Frieza was revoked of his original body in Hell, stuck back as Mecha Frieza, and put in the cocoon. Either way, it really doesn't matter. Frieza is not going to be that involved in the story. And all the other World Hell Warriors were imprisoned. And it was all thanks to Pikkon basically soloing all of them, showing that Goku was not, he didn't need to be there. And then he beat the strongest Otherworld warrior there, and the strongest of Universe 7 pretty much under King Kai's tutelage, Olibu. But that is until Goku would fight him as a Super Saiyan. And it would be so one-sided at times, especially when Pikkon showed he had weighted training gear just like Piccolo, that Goku had to pull everything out of the arsenal, and still Pikkon struck back. And this forced Goku to do something he had never done before, and it's still filler pretty much to this day: Super Kaioken. But even with this small advantage, Goku's skill was not a match. Pikkon's Hyper Tornado, his super speed, like he showed off against Cell, and for small moments against Goku and Olibu, kind of, and his Thunder Flash, the only reason he lost was because he got too attached to the move and gave Goku a chance to actually, like, third time's the charm it and use an instant Kamehameha. But he was still much stronger than Goku at the time. Then we get to see him again against Boo, but that didn't really go so well because Kid Buu annihilated everyone there and was ready to destroy the Otherworld planet. But it was all okay in the end. Like I said, it's highly debatable if it's filler or not. We could just say that either Frieza was put in his mecha form and back in the cocoon, or we just canonize them and just show them off as they were in Kai without giving them the character arc that they had and say that it was done like off screen or something. So it really doesn't matter because it's not going to change the whole idea of the story. We're putting in Pikon's character and everybody else's thing, except we're just making tweaks like Frieza and like small things like that, and like the Super Kaioken to make it work as a cohesive whole. Then we saw him again in an actual movie against Janemba. Now, that didn't go over so well, but he did stall long enough for Goku and Vegeta to fuse. And Pikkon was actually kind of sort of an essential character in this movie. But ever since, we thought that he was going to be in the Tournament of Power, or canonized, or showed off more. All of the Dragon Ball fandom, like Super Saiyan Bardock, this is one of the most highly requested and looked into prospects. And ironically, the Bardock one didn't really get that much attention on my channel, but that's water under the bridge because, I'm not the hugest on YouTube. But huge or not, like Super Saiyan Bardock, this is one of the most highly talked about ideas. Pikkon. You cannot tell me that you are into the Dragon Ball franchise and don't find Pikkon the least bit entertaining, because it's just, Pikkon is an amazing character. And what we've also wanted to see is Pikkon interact with or meet or fight Piccolo, which has also been done and talked about numerous amounts of times. And we actually got to see it in fruition in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, kind of at the end of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, because it only had up to 5 arcs, and this was basically the last one. And we got to see little small pickets of Pikkon versus Piccolo. So even if the main anime never gave it to us yet, we got to see it in Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which is basically giving every single Dragon Ball fan what they want, except for like 2 seconds. And just ever since, we have wanted to see more done with Pikkon and actually give him a chance and showcase him as a great character, what we know that he is. Games have shown it, people have talked and like debated about it. We've just wanted to see it happen. So what if it did? What if Pikkon was actually wished back and given a chance? Now, I'm not going to be going into the whole, like, oh, who killed him shtick, like the whole Jiren's master thing, and I talk about that at the end of the story. But who knows? I could do that in the way future, like future story stuff. But we're going to see if Pikkon being wished back would be, like, the greatest thing that ever happened and would actually give meaning and justification for his character, or if it would be the worst mistake ever made. Let's dive in. We just end the Otherworld tournament, and Goku's talking about going to the World Tournament and coming back for a day. But then it hits him. Goku starts having his brain racked and he's thinking about something. And then it hits him. And he's like, what if we wished Pikkon back and he could come back? I know that I won't be able to and that I don't want to, but giving Pikkon a chance? Yeah. After the Otherworld tournament, I say that giving someone here a chance to finally be wished back to life is truly a present for whenever I come back. And King Kai is like, are you crazy? And he actually attacks Goku. You want to bring back a opponent just because you liked fighting him? You screwed up your own whole lesson with the Grand Kai because of him, and he is not our friend, Goku. I get it, you like him, but have I forgot to mention enough to you? He is West Kai's warrior. Even if you did bring him back, he doesn't belong in the North Quadrant. He belongs in the West Quadrant. This would never fly. And Goku's like, it has to, right? I mean, if King Yemma and everybody likes me so much, I don't want to take advantage of that, but I know Pikkon. And it was a great fight, and I know how good of a person he is. Plus, I think that in my absence, while Gohan and everybody else are more than capable, we need another warrior on Earth. We need to make sure that if I don't come back, someone else is there. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, King Kai. I think that after all these years, depending on how long Pikkon has been here, he deserves a chance. And who knows? Maybe people like Alubu and others can be given a chance. And King Kai's like, okay, but it's not like King Yema's or anyone's just gonna let it fly, especially the other Kais. Surely they'll want to keep their warriors around in Otherworld. Otherwise, all their training will have been for nothing. You gotta think about that. Some of them are in debt to the Grand Kai, and a lesson for them. Being wished back might prohibit them from getting the strength that they deserve. If they die, it will just be like you guys all the time. You always get out of it's like a get out of jail free card. But you chose to stay here. How do you know that Pikkon and others won't choose to stay at and do their own thing? And Goku's like, there's only one way to find out. So Goku and Pikkon interact and come face to face with each other. And they have a long talk. And when Pikkon hears about all of what Goku's talking about, he is very surprised to even hear the consideration of bringing him back to life. Is that even possible? And Goku's like, oh yeah, on our planet, and our planet Namek, we have these things called the Dragon Balls. It can bring anyone back with a single wish. We've got a lot more on our table with more wishes now, because of a new Guardian of Earth. But I know that I'm not going back. I'm only going back for a day. But for one thing, I think you of all people deserve a chance to finally get back in the world of the living, Pikkon. You more than anyone, especially because of our amazing fight. You deserve that. And who knows? Maybe we talk to the Grand Kai and other Kais about getting more people on board in the future. Just as long as it's not too much on King Yemma and the Kais. Especially don't want to upset the Grand Kai. If you want to stay here and train with the Grand Kai still, I won't stop you, but just thought it was a really good idea. You deserve it. Pikkon sits and thinks on it for a long moment. He's like, he hasn't been back in the world of the living for years. Like, decades. And it's like, even hearing the mention of being brought back to life throws him for a loop. But he does smile, and he does agree. Because all of what Goku's saying makes sense. And Grand Kai might be losing a very essential warrior to fight and keep the warriors in hell in check. But for one thing, they have a legion of other world warriors. Number two, Goku said he ain't leaving. He's only going back for a day. And he knows that, like, someone will take his place. Shenron is summoned, and Pikkon is wished back. His halo dissipates, and he is so surprised that he almost just passes out from shock. He's no longer dead. He's alive again. And it's like, what? Goku cannot be happier to see his new otherworld friend alive again. And it slightly upsets him that he has chosen his route, but he made his decision. So, with Goku's one-day reprieve and Pikkon being wished back, they return with fortune teller Baba, but Pikkon's no longer restricted. And everybody reunites with Goku. And then they all stare and smile at Pikkon. And this definitely weirds out Pikkon, because this is definitely not the West Quadrants. But Pikkon decides, because of the generosity and Goku has given him, he's going to stay in the North Quadrant. The West Quadrant wouldn't really be any worth to him anymore anyway, because what's the point in going back there if he's just possibly going to die? Like I said, future story for a different time to discuss like a fan-made killer of Pikkon or something. Or maybe they'll actually do it in the future. I don't know. It's up to people who actually want to dive into that. And then Pikkon and Piccolo face off. And they talk about Goku and how Goku suggested that the two of them meet. And they talk about everything Otherworld Tournament, Cell, who Piccolo used to be, their alikeness, the weighted training gear, everything that makes them who they are. And both of them are amazed to see two creatures so alike and yet much different, especially Pikkon from the West Quadrant. And then Pikkon talks about the Grand Kai. And since Piccolo is like getting like Kai information from Pikkon, because Goku didn't tell him anything about that until they figured out about the Supreme Kai. And this is actually going to change a tiny bit whenever the Supreme Kai actually comes into play. Then Pikkon gets to meet Goku's children, Goten and Gohan. And this just amazes Pikkon. He would have never expected the North Quadrant to have so much. Goku has really made an impact. And then we get to the children's division. Trunks beats Goten and Hercule effortlessly. I say effortlessly, but it's basically Trunks and Goten the same fight. And we obviously know how the fight with Hercule goes. And then Supreme Kai and Kibito are shown, and then Piccolo's like, suspicions are beginning to get to him. And he's like, with it getting stronger, it took him until being in the ring with the Supreme Kai to start to like think, oh, is he the Grand Kai? And then get thrown aback. But since Pikkon has told him Kai information from the source, he asks Pikkon directly, was that the Grand Kai? Pikkon and Goku are like, nope. We don't know who that is yet. But I have a feeling we're going to figure it out here pretty soon. Vegeta is actually getting a first field view of Pikkon and is like, there's much more to this warrior Pikkon than meets the eye. But he's not showing anger or jealousy. He's just overall curious. And then Krillin beats Pintar, and then we get to a fight everyone with Pikkon's character has wanted to see, that we got to see in the exact anime that this picture is shown, and in the second match of the adult division, Pikkon versus Piccolo. With Kai information switched, a new direction for the Buu arc, and Pikkon wished back but Goku staying dead, and the Otherworld warriors and just everything thrown into a certain kind of packaged deal. What is going to happen in this direction of Pikkon's story? How is his character going to affect future arcs? And what can we hope to see from Pikkon himself personally and the dynamic with especially Piccolo and Goku? Find out. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick's next Dragon Ball story, part 2, What if Pikkon was wished back? Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the past, present, and future of the Omniverse. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time. Pikkon and Piccolo, second match of the adult division. And something, come on, I was going to do this right at the start because it's for Pikkon. You got to throw in everything you can for him. And the two seem to be evenly matched. First time in a long time that Piccolo's fighting with everything he has. But Pikkon seemingly holding back very much so on Piccolo, even with his weighted training clothes. Does it for sport along with Piccolo. And he just shows he is far above Piccolo. And with his Thunder Flash, Piccolo tries to counteract with the strongest special beam cannon he can, but the two blasts collide in a huge explosion in the middle of the ring. Then Pikkon uses a stance while Piccolo's completely just thrown off guard and uses a burning shoot kick and a side swiping attack just like Cell and knocks Piccolo down and out with just two blows, just showing that Pikkon almost the entire time was making sport of Piccolo, and it almost seemed like he was training him. But the two afterwards shake, and it really just goes to show these two have a great future ahead for them, rival wise and friendship wise. Then we get Spopovich versus Vidal, which goes exactly the same. At least she's not getting absolutely crushed, absolutely being nice, because absolutely no one likes this match, and for very good reason. But it could always be worse. He could kill her, which I've almost pretty much done in a story or two. Basically, anytime Gohan didn't train her, she would die. Anyways, then Gohan powers up against Kibito and gets his energy sapped by Spopovich and Yamu. Then Shin reveals himself as the Supreme Kai and then Kibito and everything. And Pikkon and Piccolo, they know, along with Goku, to just, like, obey them. And they go along pretty much with everyone else, like in canon, to go to Bobity's ship. Then Spopovich and Yamu both get killed. Deborah stays outside and is ready to blast Kibito, but Pikkon just sideswipes Deborah and then uses a hyper tornado, and Deborah is pretty much crippled from the get-go. And Pikkon just yells to everybody, "Now!" Goku powers up Super Saiyan 2, Kamehameha. Vegeta, an ultimate Super Saiyan 2 Big Bang attack. Then Gohan with a full power Masenko, Piccolo with a light grenade, and Deborah is killed. Supreme Kai cannot believe what he is looking at. And it's like, they just killed freaking Deborah, the king of the demon realm. And Goku's like, told you it'd be easy. But Supreme Kai says, don't celebrate just yet. We don't know if that was Bobity's strongest warrior. And if it was, you still don't know what Bobity's truly capable of. He could use his magic to turn the tables. But Bobity is so perplexed and scared that Deborah was killed, he doesn't even know if he can control any of them. And he honestly doesn't know what to do. Pui Pui and Yakon are dealt with in just quick fashion. And then Supreme Kai personally kills Bobby. As for the ball regarding Majin Buu, it's taken away by Supreme Kai and Kibito. Goku would return to Otherworld because there's no reason to bring him back. And he says goodbye to Pikkon and to everybody. And Shenron is summoned to reverse any and all damage caused by the chaos. And it would be to resurrect Goku or, get the Namekian Dragon Balls, but again, there's no reason to revive him. Then Supreme Kai and Kibito bring up something that everybody should take personal interest in, even a dead Goku: the Z Sword. Gohan gets his potential unlocked, Piccolo gets his potential unlocked, and Pikkon gets his potential unlocked. And it would honestly, we could finally put in Super Dragon Ball Heroes version of Pikkon, not just for Mystic, but Super Pikkon as a whole, for him becoming a full-fledged Z fighter. So, why not? Then we get into Dragon Ball Daima. How will Daima be affected with no Goku, even though I've showed what will happen before, a Pikkon in the mix, and just an overall really different story? And how will Pikkon affect future arcs? And dumb question, will Goku come back? And overall, what's the future looking like with Pikkon in tow? Find out next time. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick's next Dragon Ball story, the third part, and the final video before the Omni Games begins. This is What If Pikkon Was Wished Back. Before we get started with the third part, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick. And check out the About Tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse's future. With all that said, let's begin. We get into Dragon Ball Daima. Now, obviously, the main lead who gets turned back into a kid is Gohan. I've done this before. And then we see Pikkon. Just like we saw with Tao, we see Pikkon transformed into a kid. Thank God for AI. I know 90% of you who look at this AI is going to be like, oh, AI stop. Or, maybe you actually find Tao and Pikkon as kids kind of cool. But anyways, we get to the first Tamagami that they fight, and Gohan transforms into a Super Saiyan 2 and wrecks him. And then we're not going to get Majin Du and Ku because, unlike some other stories, Majin Buu's essence was never left anywhere. His ball was never, stored. It was literally taken to Beerus, as the vast majority of stories that don't involve Buu should do, as I've done. Also, then we get to the next Tamagami. And the fusion bugs we're actually going to be getting the fusion bugs for the first time in a what if, at least in general, and for me. And we get Pikkon or Pikkon. So, or, whatever you guys want to call the fusion between Pikkon and Piccolo. Piccolo or Pikkon, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to go with Piccolo, more or less. You guys can talk about it in the comments because we've never really seen it except in, fan-made stuff and video games. So I'm going to go with Piccolo. Anyways, we get a combination, which this took me forever to try to put together, but we get a combination of the Thunder Flash and the Special Beam Cannon. So I'm going to call it the Thunder Flash Cannon. Pretty decent name overall. And the next Tamagami is defeated. Then we get Vegeta wrecking Tamagami 3's crap in Super Saiyan 3. Goma then gets the third eye, and with it proves just how freaking overpowered the third eye is and how he is. Gohan transforms for the first time Super Saiyan 3 himself, which would have been the perfect thing to do if you put Gohan in Daima, and Goma still wrecks everybody's crap. Then Neva empowers Gohan with Super Saiyan 4. The Eternal Dragon from the Demon Realm is then summoned and shows just how freaking overpowered and just how every Shenron should have reacted whenever they were getting attacked, and blocks Goma's attempts of trying to stop him. And then you might think I'm going to go the whole Gohan Beast or Super Saiyan 4 route like I did in the Zombie Goku story. But I didn't do so in the Tao story because I just don't want to make the same thing for Gohan. Only reason I did in the Zombie Goku ones because it directly pretty much made Gohan a central character. But this is not Gohan's story. This is Pikkon's story. So, Pikkon and Piccolo once again use the fusion bugs, and we get Orange Piccolo. So, yeah. So, with Piccolo having his potential unlocked, we obviously know Orange Piccolo is a thing. With Pikkon, yeah, Orange Piccolo. So, yeah, this is a very overpowered fusion. And with Mystic Gohan, Goma's done for. And then they're also told about the third eye in the back thing. And with Orange Piccolo and Mystic Gohan, it's a freaking cakewalk. And Goma's reverted to normal, but just like Tao's story, there's a catch. Piccolo was part of the reason, or, I'm not going to say part of the reason. Let's just think about it. Because the one who initiates getting the third eye out becomes the supreme, basically becomes the new Supreme Demon King. And if Piccolo had done this in canon, that would have meant that he was the Supreme Demon King. And since he's the dominant one pretty much in the fusion, having the most power, and just overall been in the world a lot longer, and it's just like everything points to Piccolo. I could make it about Pikkon, but no. First of all, Pikkon does not belong as a Supreme Demon King at all. And you could make the argument that Dispo didn't in my freaking Tao story, but it just was a way different set of circumstances. You know? Yamcha didn't belong, and look where that got him. It's just down to how it happens. And Piccolo understands that this was kind of setting him up for, like, being back as what he honestly never thought he'd be back at. Being a demon again, pretty much. But he will embrace it, as he knows he is not evil like his father was, and disillusioned like his past self was. So, he will be the Supreme Demon King Piccolo, with a far different path than every other Demon King, and a far stronger and more determined one. So we get Supreme Demon King Piccolo, with the only change being the third eye. So, definitely a new outlook on the whole Supreme Demon King thing. Because he's the main first one who doesn't, like Ku, he don't look any different. Except, Ku didn't take the third eye. So, yeah, Piccolo has the third eye as the Supreme Demon King. And Pikkon wishes him luck, because he's not staying around in the demon world. No, thank you. He has spent enough time in Otherworld for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, fighting people off in hell and everything like that. That's another reason why Pikkon is not going to be a Supreme Demon King. For years on constant loops and loops and loops and loops and loops, especially depending on how long Pikkon's been dead, ain't no way he's gonna stay in a place with demons and freaking no. God, no. No, thank you. So Pikkon is not staying in the demon realm, and he's not being a Supreme Demon King. So now we get into Dragon Ball Super, or Battle of Gods, or Dragon Ball Super Beerus. It really doesn't matter. We're getting into the frickin' Beerus arc, where Beerus awakens with the prophecy about a Super Saiyan God, goes to King Kai's because Goku's there, beats him as Super Saiyan 3 with 2 blows, and then he fights Vegeta on Earth, and Vegeta actually pulls out, with no Goku around, Super Saiyan 3. But we all know how well that goes. Mystic Gohan is effortlessly tossed aside. And I could say anything about like Pikkon fighting Beerus or something like that, but there's nothing that would directly connect him to Beerus. So ironically, he would just be a background character, like, if Beerus lost his crap. But there's no way Beerus would lose his crap because no pudding incident. So it would literally just be a Saiyan test, like I've done in multitudes of other stories. Shenron's summoned about the Super Saiyan God. Goku is wished back because they need enough Saiyans. And Goku asked, just like Pikkon, for Olibu to get wished back to life. Because I've had Olibu come back in the tournament, but I said at the beginning of the tale, Pikkon ain't the only Otherworld warrior coming back. Olibu, Goku asked specifically when Whis informed him of everything that happened, if Olibu could be the next Otherworld warrior, explaining what he did for Pikkon. And Whis, intrigued by this, grants the request. And Pikkon and Goku face for the first time in years. And Pikkon looks to see who he is staring at next to Goku, and he cannot believe who he is looking at. Olibu's back in the world of the living, but Beerus getting impatient by all this random freaking otherworld drama. He's starting to get annoyed and threatens to destroy the Earth. If he is not satisfied and get the god that he wants, screw wishing people back over and over again. He'll make sure there's nothing ever to wish back. And yeah, this gets everyone in movement like that. So, with all the Saiyans put in, Goku becomes the Super Saiyan God, and we all know how the fight goes from there. And Goku, with Olibu now here, knows that whatever threat they got coming their way, especially hearing about Piccolo in the demon world and like everything that they've heard of, Olibu has a lot to catch up on. Goku has a decent lot to catch up on. And especially with Pikkon, they're ready to get through whatever threat comes their way next as Resurrection F nears its corner. How will that go? How will Olibu's new travels go? Piccolo is the Supreme Demon King, and just everything that has now entered us into Resurrection F and Dragon Ball Super, or however you want to like canonize like Resurrection F and like Super, because the remake especially, it's just gonna get confusing. And with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed, because we're not done with the Pikkon story, but the Omni games will be premiering. So by the time that this gets out, the day after is when the Omni games premieres. So you won't be seeing the story or anything story-wise come back until the middle of March. That's when we get back on the regular schedule. So I hope you've enjoyed everything that this channel has had to offer, but we're going on a new route for the next few weeks. The ultimate apex of what the Omniverse is going to build for its future. And the Omni games is the greatest example of that. I won't say much more because you guys will just have to wait and see for yourselves the year and a half, well, half a year, but you still get what I mean, amount of work that has been put into this project and what it means for this channel's future. With all that said, catch up and like get yourselves in motion for whatever projects and like Omniverse story and just everything for this channel. Because if you haven't, this is the absolute final time that you guys will have the chance to like get in motion for that. It's more important than ever. And I will see you guys tomorrow when the Omni games and Scream 7 premiere. Stay tuned for Pikkon story returning the middle of March, and stay even more tuned for the Omni games as it expands so much so more than anything for the Omniverse of Nick. Hey guys, I'm Nick. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the continuing story, part 4, to What If Pikkon Was Wished Back in Dragon Ball. We are getting on to Resurrection F, but before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage and everything else the Omniverse has to offer. With that said, let's get started. We open up where we ended off last time. Resurrection F getting started. All the Z fighters are there fighting. And Tagoma, I know I do this on and off sometimes. Sometimes I'll do the Tagoma outing where he just dies to Frieza on the ship. Other times I'll include his actual Dragon Ball Super outing. And it's going to complicate things even further when we get into the frickin' Dragon Ball Super remake. But point is still, this Tagoma is the one that trains with Frieza. And Piccolo takes out Shisami and Tagoma with the power of the third eye. So they are no match. Ginyu, frog form, shows up to the scene. And this time it's even more complicated for him to switch bodies. He could do it to Bulma again, but she and everyone else here would suspect that. So Ginyu goes for someone they'd never expect, Jocko. And Jocko has no answer. So, with Ginyu Jocko posing, nobody suspects a thing. They just think Jocko's acting crazy. And then Jocko's like, I need to return to headquarters immediately, Bulma. And yes, Bulma would protest to this and think Jocko's being a coward, but he actually looks serious. So Bulma's like, okay, go ahead, but you better not be ditching us just so you can run away. And Ginyu Jocko's like, of course not, Bulma, but this is urgent. And he just heads off in his spaceship. But then puts on a scouter from one of the dead guys. Nobody suspects a thing. And this confirms Ginyu Jocko, which is actually much more awesome and cool than I originally made it out to be. So he returns to the headquarters, and all the Galactic Patrol is there and wondering why, what's up with Jocko, what's going on, and why he has the scouter on his face. But then Jocko talks to one of the other Galactic Patrol members, all from the manga, obviously, and he says, you mind letting me in to the Galactic Prison? I want to pay a visit to one of the prisoners. And the other guy's like, okay, Jocko, go ahead. But he is thrown off by this. And he goes to the prison cell of Moro. Yeah, that's right. We're getting Ginyu Jocko and Moro. The first time that I'm including Moro and what you're going to see. I know I've included Ultra Ego and Black Frieza, but with the manga and Granola and Ultra Ego and all that stuff actually becoming canon this and next year and onward, that means I can finally include that stuff in my stories. Meanwhile, Frieza is resorted to his fourth form against them all. And he is still posing a good threat, even though Piccolo has the third eye. And before Piccolo can even transform, or Pikkon or anybody else can do anything, Goku and Vegeta arrive, and Goku fights Frieza in his blue form, and Frieza goes golden, but Goku's far more serious, and a slightly different Goku, not too much different, but Pikkon and circumstances in general means that Sorbet is not able to shoot his laser successfully. And Vegeta goes blue and instantly goes for the kill on Frieza. Frieza loses his power, and Vegeta gets the kill on Frieza that was justly deserved. I've done this before, more or less, but especially in my Immortal Vegeta story, he gets the kill on Frieza that he deserved. And Pikkon gets to see Blue Goku full front and center. So this would be amazing for the two of them to talk about the God form and the blue form and everything like that, and Pikkon's journey with his Super Pikkon Mystic form. And yeah, everybody gets adjusted to what they have accomplished and gained in this time. And we get on to the Universe 6 versus 7 tournament. Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo with the third eye, Gohan, and Pikkon are all going to compete. Meanwhile, we get Ginyu Jocko and Moro having a discussion. Moro obviously very thrown aback that a galactic patrolman is here, and he's willing and smirking evilly to talk to him. But he obviously can't do anything, so he hears him out. Ginyu says in Jocko's body, "The great planet eater Moro, it's an honor to meet you. I am the great Captain Ginyu of the Ginyu Force that serves the now sadly departed resurrected Lord Frieza, because he would have detected that Frieza died and heard what happened on his scouter. Matter of fact, that's half the reason why he took it, rather than the fact that it's like, the Frieza Force mantra and like the Ginyu Force, and you guys get the point. And then Moro speaks up and he says, "If you're the great Captain Ginyu, why do you possess the Galactic Patrol Jocko's body? And what are you here for, if not for your dead boss?" And Ginyu speaks up and says, "How would you like to get out of this cell forever?" Meanwhile, we are at the Universe 6 vs. 7 tournament. Goku beats Botamo and gets poisoned by Frost. But then Piccolo and Frost fight, and with the third eye, Frost has absolutely no answer. His poison, his abilities, nothing. Isn't like absolutely nothing. And then Frost's poison is found out even after he loses, mind you. And that just gives more leeway to the fact that he lost completely, and it reinstates Goku. But, Frost still did lose. Then we get Piccolo versus Kaba, and I feel that Kaba, in this situation, because of who Piccolo is in this timeline, unlike other outings of like people that are not Saiyans, I feel like Kaba would learn Super Saiyan here, just based on who Piccolo is in this story. I feel that it's justified, and to give Kaba something. Then we get Hit versus Piccolo, and even with the third eye, it takes Piccolo to get to his orange form before he actually starts to mount something against Hit. Yes, the third eye is the most broken thing, basically, in Dragon Ball that we know of, or at least one of the mains, but it doesn't mean that it actually, like, preserves Piccolo an opportunity to figure out Hit's time skip and get an edge on him until he transforms into his orange form. And this is also not the first time I've had these two fight. So Piccolo, once he gets into his orange form and with the third eye, he actually begins to mount an offense and greatly defend and figure out Hit through and through. But then Hit starts to mount more of his time skip and actually like evolve it and power up. But Piccolo just waits for the right opportunity when Hit's guard is down during the time skip, and he one-shots him with his strongest punch, and this knocks Hit clean out of the ring. Afterwards, Zeno and Goku meet, and the talks about the Tournament of Power come up, and we are going to touch into something that very few stories on this Omniverse I actually touch upon. Besides the Bardock Super Saiyan 1-parter, few Vegeta stories, and very, 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 very few other tales. The Goku Black Arc. What's going to be different here? How different is it going to go? What will Pikkon, Piccolo the Third Eye, Ginyu, Jocko, Moro, and so on bring to the table with all these changes and the resurfacing of Pikkon's wishing back story? Find Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the next episode for the next Dragon Ball story on the channel, What If Pikkon Was Wished Back, Part 5. Before you get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse of Nick. With all that said, let's begin. We are touching upon an arc that has not even been covered 5 times, I believe, on this channel, because so far, only stories that involve Vegeta and one Goku and maybe Giran. Goku Black's story has been relegated to the bare minimum just based off of the fact that haven't been able to touch upon it. But don't worry, plenty of other Dragon Ball stories are in the making, and a lot of them involve Goku Black. With that said, let's dive in, and it starts all the same. Goku and Goku Black fight. Goku Black destroys the time machine, except Pikkon being there, he instantly knows it's not Goku. He fought with him, knew him, and just overall knows him for over 7 years plus. So, Pikkon, more than anybody, would know. Then Goku fights Zamasu, and they go to Trunks' future. Rose Goku Black makes his debut and impales Vegeta. Goku and Trunks team up and then get their butts handed to him. Pikkon then comes in for the save against Goku Black, and Piccolo goes against Zamasu. And I know what you guys are probably asking. How would they even fit in the time machine? Piccolo, Pikkon, Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks. It's 5 people. And it would barely be able to fit 4 people, let alone 3. Well, Piccolo has the third eye, which could shrink them all down so it would literally not matter at all. You could have put the entire freaking, whole cast of characters in that time machine with the third eye. So, yeah. But, yeah, Pikkon and Piccolo come in for the save. Goku uses his full power Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. Pikkon unleashes his full mystic powers, and it forces Goku Black past Rose and into his full power, and he unleashes the Scythe. But with Orange Piccolo and the third eye, Zamasu and Goku Black are completely overpowered. And Goku and Pikkon and Piccolo all together, along with Vegeta getting healed and brought back up, they demolish Piccolo, or Goku Black and Zamasu. But just before they can get the kill, Goku Black and Zamasu fuse into Fuse Zamasu, who uses Blades of Judgment almost instantaneously. And this forces the fighters back. But Pikkon says they haven't lost the battle yet. They might all be down and out of strength, but there's one of them that will never run out. And Fuse Zamasu will never figure out who Piccolo really is. And Orange Piccolo powers up with the third eye and completely heals. And with the third eye in tow, allowing just enough time to stall Zamasu to let the others recover, Goku and Vegeta rush forward, but Fuse Zamasu effortlessly evades and completely overpowers them. Trunks tries and fails. Pikkon tries, but Fuse Zamasu says, "You are all mortal pests. The more of you flock together, the more you should realize you are no match for divinity." And he goes for a holy wrath, but Pikkon powers to his absolute perfection and uses a full power Thunder Flash, and Piccolo uses an Orange Piccolo full power Special Beam Cannon. So basically, it's a Thunder Beam Cannon like they did in their fusion, but as separate beings, because Goku and Vegeta have done that sort of thing before too, and Gohan and Piccolo and Gohan and Goku have used combined moves, obviously, and this combined Thunder Beam Cannon completely shocks and decimates Fused Zamasu, making him mutated and have to power up into his mutated purple arm and, that. Which, in my opinion, best version of Zamasu, hands down. And he rushes at them all relentlessly and furiously. Pikkon's down, and Goku uses everything, breaking the limits with Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and it works for half a second before Fuse Zamasu's ferocity and menacing power and stature, it's not enough. Goku's power is not enough. He didn't get a Zenkai from being beaten over and over again and getting angry. This is the first fight in Trunks' timeline, mind you. So yeah, Goku is relegated back down to base and injured. Vegeta tries a full power Super Saiyan Blue Gallic gun, but Fuse Zamasu just slices it in half, and Vegeta is out of energy. Trunks transforms into Super Saiyan Rage for the first time and strikes at Zamasu. Zamasu is just getting more and more angry by the second, and he says, "Back for more, Trunks, yet again?" And just destroys Trunks' sword. Trunks tries rushing at it with all he's got. It's not enough. He tries a full power Final Flash. He tries a full power Gallic gun, And then eventually, the future and just everything and his own aura, it gives his sword the key sword, basically. Keyblade, whatever the frick you want to call it. And this allows him to fight off Fuse Zamasu just like canon. And soon enough, the entire future, Pikkon and Piccolo with the third eye, gives him so much strength that it takes even less to kill Zamasu with the spirit sword. And this completely just destroys his physical form. And he goes to try to envelop the entire timeline. And with this power, Goku, Vegeta, and Pikkon are all down. And Trunks used all his power too. Orange Piccolo transforms into giant Orange Piccolo. And he says, even with the third eye, he can't stop a Zamasu who's literally trying to engulf the universe. But he can stop him from killing everyone here and every one of them, mainly. And he goes at it with everything he's got. Then Goku remembers while Orange Piccolo's busy distracting Zamasu and literally, saving their lives, Goku remembers he was still given the Zeno button because it happened all around this time. You might be asking, well, if this is their first encounter, would Goku have even received the Zeno button by this time? But we can say because of differentiations in the timeline and based off the fact stuff has happened sooner and later, just like any what if story, that this could just be one of the things that more or less helps them in this case. And honestly, since it's not even that far off from whenever he got it in the freaking first place, we could just say that this just happened in between, more or less. It's really not that big a deal. So yeah, Goku pushes the Zeno button and future Zeno appears and he erases the entire timeline and meets his current counterparts. And Whis presents the idea to Mai and Trunks about going to a timeline where there's two of them existing, depending on how that is perceived by the audience. I know many of people don't like that, and I've never touched upon it before, but yeah, it's still going to happen. This is the first time I think it's actually going to happen in a what if story, for me at least. And then with all the evidence put through to them, current Zamasu is erased. Goku perfects more of the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and Vegeta is trying to power and, bring out more within him. He is so close to achieving a new level, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, but he's not quite there yet. He's closer than canon, and it's not the first time where I've had him gain more power and get on the roof to Super Saiyan Blue Evolution or gain a higher power. After all, Vegeta Immortal, Vegeta Super Saiyan. But in this timeline, he's not quite there yet. He is very close. And Pikkon reaches through more of his power. And he is very happy with his results and everything that has happened since he was wished back. And it's honestly the best decision Goku ever made for him. And Piccolo just continues to engulf just the entirety of the seventh universe in the awe-inspiring fact that Piccolo basically not only saved their lives, but is the strongest basically in Universe 7. But then we gotta remember there was something else that was going on. Ginyu, remember? Ginyu in Jocko's body pushes a few buttons while none of the Galactic Patrol is looking and unlocks the cage for Moro. But the Galactic Patrol instantly swarms in and knows this is not Jocko. And Ginyu Jocko shoots at all of them. And he fires purple key waves, Ginyu style. And that just confirms to everyone, that ain't Jocko. With one bop, Ginyu is knocked out instantly. And Moro is forced back in the cage before he can even get out fully. So, yeah. But Moro still tries everything. He is furious. He was so close to getting out because of a peasant, and now he's being pushed back in by this nobody of the Galactic Patrol. And he's furious right now. But with Whis, Beerus, and a few helping hands alongside the fact of Moro's own power and several others, maybe of the Galactic Patrol, Jocko ends up Ginyu Jocko tries to switch bodies, but like I said, Moro, Beerus, or Whis, or someone like that. I'm saying maybe just Whis or the Galactic Patrol, and then mainly Moro to just get it done himself because of the Galactic Patrol. Ginyu Jocko tries to switch bodies, but ends up back in the body of the frog, basically swapping the areas because the frog is still on Earth. So, Ginyu Frog is put in a cell at the Galactic Patrol. So, Captain Ginyu does not die here, but he is forever imprisoned at the Galactic Patrol. So, yeah, sucks to be him. But that's what you get for trying to awaken or, free a freaking monstrosity of Moro. So Moro is going to remain in the cell. Trust me, you'll understand by the end of the story why we're not getting Moro here and why this was just a teaser. After all, I tease and then I deliver. Same system as always. Now we're going to get something I've only ever covered once on this channel. The Zeno Expo. What will happen this time in the Zeno Expo? Will Ginyu ever get out of the galactic prison? What will happen with Moro and Granola if it's not actually going to become full arcs? And what will it tease for the future? And for the Tournament of Power onward, will we have the roster that we need? Or could we have to call upon extra helping hands, be it good or evil? Find out. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the next episode for What If Pikkon Was Wished Back, Part 6, the next Dragon Ball story on the Omniverse. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything in store and already present for the Omniverse. So with all that said, let's begin. We open up with something that's only ever been covered once on this channel, the Zeno Expo. Goku, Vegeta, and Pikkon enter. And Pikkon is the first one to fight against Basal. And Basal is so taken aback by the fact that Pikkon's so precisive and onto him that even the fact that he can't sense his energy, Pikkon literally is just that strong and that freaking capable. Basal has to use everything he's got and power up. Everything and beyond, and it's not enough. Pikkon sees and fights through it all. And his power, aura, and freaking just everything is far too much for Basal to handle. So much so, he's given the drug that turns him into Super Basal, but Pikkon just sees this as a slightly bigger challenge, and he actually smiles. Hopefully, he'll actually get something more out of this. So, he starts putting even more power into his attacks, and just starts flaring more aura and showing more of what he is capable of and everything that he has trained for since he was wished back. And he uses a super hyper tornado. And this completely overthrows every bit of power in Super Basal. And Pikkon finishes it using all his power into a double key wave that Basal he can't defend against. And it almost kills him. So yeah. Then Vegeta and Lavender, who have already fought before in canon, but now they're fighting in the Expo. And I've already shown what happens in the Expo, because these two have fought before in the Expo. Or it might have been Vegeta and Basal. Either way, you're going to get the point. Lavender tries to mist Vegeta, just like he did Gohan, and use the poison, since obviously they don't know about it yet. But Vegeta is far more careful, cunning, angry, and far more forceful than Gohan ever would be. And just whenever Lavender's about to do it, Vegeta shows something he's only ever shown once. Super Saiyan 3. And just overtakes Lavender completely. And with a few blows, Lavender is put on the back foot and completely immobilized. So yeah. Then we get Goku and Bergamo, and that fight basically plays out the exact same way. Maybe like slight differentiation with Goku. Other than that, it's really not worth talking about. Then we get Goku and Top, and that goes out the exact same way as well. Now we're getting to the Tournament of Power itself, who our roster is going to be. Well, Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, of course, with the third eye. If I didn't include Piccolo, especially in this story, that would be a downgrade for his character and disrespect him. Pikkon, of course. Olibu, because we got to give him more time to shine. It's also not the first time I've shown him in a tournament of power, and it won't be the last. And besides just the Frieza Force and just small things here and there since he was resurrected in Battle of Gods, of course we're going to have him in the Tournament of Power. And we'll be getting a good deal of him, far more so, giving more to Olibu. I said that I wouldn't just be giving Pikkon his due. Number 18, number 17, and we're giving someone else their due. Aqua. Aqua is going to participate in the Tournament of Power. And I think that this would actually be a way to resurrect him and a great way to put him in the Omniverse of Nick. And the last competitor is Tien. So we have our roster. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Pikkon, Piccolo, Olibu, numbers 17 and 18, Aqua, and Tien. With this roster, one of the honestly, craziest rosters I think I've conjured up, and there have been a great deal of them, and far more crazier to come. How do you think that they will fare? Will they do far better than every other outing, especially with Piccolo with the third eye and not Yamcha? With people like Aqua, Pikkon, and Olibu, and just everyone else's growth more or less just being the same and just overall very freaking good? Could they do freaking better? Or could it lead to drastic ramifications? With that said, stay tuned for next time. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the next episode for the next Dragon Ball story on the channel, What If Pikkon Was Wished Back, Part 7, the third to last part. Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse's channel. With all that said, let's get started. We open up where we ended off last time. The Tournament of Power, and our Universe 7 team. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Pikkon, Piccolo with the third eye, Olibu, numbers 17 and 18, Aqua, and Tien. So, let's dive in. Goku immediately goes and he encounters Ganos. Hit and Basal take out Narirama. Lilabu gets eliminated. Nappa fights Basal. Goku almost gets eliminated by Nink. Goku and Vegeta tag team Universe 9. Sorrel, this time, gets eliminated by Pikkon instead of number 18. And Roselle, since there's no Frieza, Piccolo uses the third eye and utterly whomps him. Then, Universe 9 is erased. Vegeta fights Bodamagetta. Diem is eliminated by the Universe 7 team. 18 fights Shosa, but Olibu saves her instead of Krillin, because Krillin's not in the tournament. So he uses his ferocity, his speed, and his utter strength, and being King Kai's best student before Goku, and just utterly takes the fight over in the turn of Universe 7. And Shosa has no answer for this, let alone whenever 18 steps in and helps him. So, yeah, Shosa is no match. And Alibu is showing much more promise being a fighter here. Majora comes in, but Alibu says that just because they can't, stop him because he can't see them and he uses his other senses, they can limit his field of range and movement. So he uses debris, his strength, and his speed, along with 18 using Ki Blast of her own, to cover the entire area in which Majora's in rubble, debris, rocks, and just everything. And just because Majora could still get through, mostly because of his other senses, because of how fast they're moving and how much they are limiting his field of range, by the time he even notices what's going on, he starts utterly panicking because he can't move. And with this advantage, Majora is eliminated. Olibu then stops Frost's attempt at sneak attacking him by just manhandling his tail and says, "You are a dishonorable warrior, and you deserve what you're about to get." And 18 just blasts him out of his hand. Frost tries to attack, but he gets erased. Then Kaba eliminates Nigirishi and Mursum and fights against Vegeta. Hit eliminates Nari Rama. Caulifla eliminates Napapa and attacks Methiep. Goku fights Caulifla. Kale goes berserk. Jiren one-shots her. And 18, Goku, 17, Caulifla, and Kale all take out the Pride Troopers. Ribrianne comes in with all her love and all that crap and covers the entire arena in it, but this is Aqua's time to shine. He uses his power, amplified since it's been over 8+ years since he fought Goku, and he has well since adapted this technique way more so. He covers the entire Tournament of Power arena in water, and he eliminates a lot of people. Kakunza, Vickle, Rosie, Zarbuto, Rabanra, Zerloin, Prum, Precho, Kawaii, whatever the little blue guy's name is, Gummy Saras, Damon, Dr. Rhoda, Darasum, Jerkle, Rubolt. He eliminates so many freaking people. But just like with Kale and other instances, Jiren starts to get, fed up. But with this specific technique, this actually gets Jiren irritated and desperate. He powers a ferocious amount of energy and cancels out Aqua's entire move, and he turns the entire ring into fire. His energy alone flames the entire ring. So think about that. We went from a normal ring to a love ring to a water ring to a fire ring. And with Jiren's ferocity and despotivity showing how much Universe 7 is on point in this story with Aqua, does this mean we actually have more trouble? Or could Universe 7 still find the win in forms of partnerships or their own strength? Find out next time as we're approaching the last two parts for Pikkon. Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the penultimate part to the next Dragon Ball story, What If Pikkon Was Wished Back? Before we get started, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick, and check out the About Time and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse. With all that said, let's begin. We open up where we ended off last time. Aqua eliminated so many people. Jiren got furious and unleashed a ferocious amount of his power, and the entire ring went from normal to love to water to pure flames. And now Aqua has just been eliminated. Jiren says, I would have never expected such a small, meager, weak little blue being such as that to eliminate so many people with just a simple water technique. But now I see Universe 7's not the only universe that I must get rid of. And Goku and Vegeta see Jiren take full front and center with his ferocity, and everyone is scared. Everyone's looking at Jiren. Jiren flares more energy, and boom! Goes to 50% of his power, and now Jiren is on a hunt against everybody. Taking a page out of the manga for when he just started hunting all the fighters, but here it's amplified. Jamise tries to fight, but he gets instantly whomped. Instant transmission does not save him. Hermilla tries his blasters, but without Prom, he's nothing, even with his ultimate beams. Ribrianne gets furious and tries all her might, putting everything she's got, but she reverts to Brienne because it's not enough. She transforms into giant Ribrianne, but Jiren just uses a ultimate key fist attack, and Ribrianne's knocked out. So Universe 2 is erased. Biara is eliminated from Universe 3. Then Catapestra tries his hand, goes to maximum speed mode, maximum battle mode, and ultimate mode, putting all his modes against Jiren, but it's not enough. Then Majikayo gets knocked out in a single blow. Then we get Kochia Raider and their fusion, but that's not enough. And then Dr. Paparoni puts his plan into motion, Plan X, and Ani Raza or Ani Laza is born and fights Jiren and uses his wings and all his abilities and power. And this actually pushes Jiren back. But Jiren just flares his energy more right whenever Ani Laza throws the super death ball at him. And then with a critical uppercut, it knocks out Ani Laza. And Universe 3 is erased. Universe 4 follows almost immediately after. Albany tries his shifting technique, but it only gets him so far before Jiren just sees right through it, and Universe 10 is erased. Universe 6 and 7 are the only two besides 11, so Goku makes the plan and decides that if they are going to survive the rest of this tournament without Jiren targeting them specifically, one by one, like he's been doing to literally freaking 3 other universes, they gotta work together to take on Universe 11. Kaba powers to Super Saiyan 2, Caulifla powers to Super Saiyan 2, Kale goes berserk and then controls it thanks to Caulifla. Cyanel and Purina power their fused essences. Boda Magetta shifts into focus. Hit flares his time skip and aura more. Goku powers past Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20. Vegeta roars his Super Saiyan Blue energy and finally ascends to Super Saiyan Blue Evolved in a slightly different way than he did in canon. Piccolo, with the third eye, goes orange and then giant. Gohan powers all his mystic energy. Pikkon flares his mystic energy. Olibu powers up. 18 powers up. 17 and Tien. And Top gets serious, along with Dispo and Kenshi, the only other two besides Jiren. Belmod says to Jiren specifically, start by crushing Goku and you can ignore the weaklings. And he says it differently this time because Jiren just did eliminate pretty much all weaklings. And Jiren goes for Goku, but Vegeta is also there. And then Hit gets involved and Piccolo Orange Giant with the third eye. Gohan and 17 fight Top just like before, but Cyanel and Purina and Caulifla and Kale jump in too. As for Dispo and Super Maximum Light Speed Mode with Kenshi, Kaba, Pikkon, Olibu, Tien, number 18, and Boda Magetta all fight against Dispo. So all the battles are set. Tien and everybody knows that Dispo is far too fast for them to keep on track, especially when he goes super maximum. So Tien uses a solar flare, immediately gaining the advantage against Dispo. Pikkon uses a Hyper Tornado, and then Botamo, Magetta, Kaba, 18, they all just blast him wildly. But Olibu gets stopped by Kenshi and is just overall the weakest of the group besides Tien. So there's not a lot that he can do, expending a lot of his energy. Dispo gets saved by Kenshi, but then Olibu jumps right back up and punches Dispo out of the ring. Kenshi still tries to save Dispo or do something, but Olibu just teleports from above him, slams him down into the tournament ground, grabs him, lassos him into a throw, and then blasts him out of the ring. So Kenshi follows immediately after. Olibu finally showing what he's truly capable of, besides Frost and, Shosa and Majora. So yeah, Dispo and Kenshi are eliminated. Gohan and 17 find themselves in the same predicament as before with Top, and 17 goes forward to attack, but Gohan's not the only one to fire the Kamehameha at him this time. Cyno and Purina fire their blasts, and Caulifla and Kale fire theirs. So, Top is forced into his God mode just to save himself from falling over the edge. And he powers into his ultimate double Hakai and presses it forward with literally everything he's got from the start. Gohan powers a Kamehameha. Purina fires an ultimate mouth beam. 17 fires a pretty much final flash in a way, or just a full power energy wave. Cyno doesn't go through the attacks because he knows that unlike Gohan's Kamehameha in canon, he knows that with these specific moves, he can't go through and try to attack him with the sword, so he instead does a gigantic sword slash. And Caulifla and Kale bring out the Potara and power in to Berserk Super Saiyan 2 and uses a gigantic burst. But Top still holds the edge with his Akai and just keeps pressing it forward. And he's about to just put the finish on it, but Boda Magetta comes out of nowhere and blasts. So does number 18, and so does Kaba, and so does Olibu. And Top can't hold it back anymore, and he is eliminated. Jiren has had absolutely enough at this point, with him being the only one left, and Universe 7 and 6 almost losing nobody. So, Jiren goes to full power. Does Universe 6 and 7 stand a chance working together against Jiren in this story? Or is Jiren's despotivity, eliminating 3 universes, make him even more dangerous and make it far more of a problem as we get to the final part next time for Pikkon's story? Hey guys, Nick here. Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and the finale to the next Dragon Ball story on the channel, What If Pikkon Was Wished Back? With all that said, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick before we begin, along with checking out the About tab and homepage so you don't miss anything for the Omniverse's future and so on. With all that said, let's get started. We open up where we ended off last time. Jiren has went full power, and Universe 6 and 7 have teamed up against 11 and knocked out Kenshi, Dispo, and Top. And Jiren just flares his full power, and this alone knocks out Kaba, Olibu, Botamo, Magetta, and it almost knocks out Tien, but he jumps in the air and tries to go for a Neo Tri-Beam, but Jiren does a critical upper, and with even just his aura alone, ordinarily, this would have killed Tien. So Tien is very crippled after this. Then 18 and 17 are targeted next, and they use all their powers, but even together, it's barely even registering to Jiren. And 18, like Canon, sacrifices herself to keep 17 in the tournament. And then Purina and Cyanel use all their Namekian-fused essence, but then they get eliminated. Hit tries his time cage technique. Pikkon uses Hyper Tornado. 17 uses multiple barriers, attacks, and blasters. And Orange Piccolo uses all the powers of the third eye and his pure malice and strength. And with Piccolo especially and the third eye, this actually forces Jiren, believe it or not, to break his limits. And this eliminates Hit, and it cripples everyone else, including Goku and Vegeta, who use a Gallic Kamehameha. Kefla uses a Gigantic Burst. 17 flares his blasters. Gohan uses a full power Masenko. Pikkon uses a Thunder Flash, but Jiren counters with an Overheat Magnetron and detonates it. And with this is the catalyst for Goku's Ultra Instinct. And he becomes Ultra Instinct Omen, or Autonomous Ultra Instinct Omen, if you want to be more politically correct. Kefla, Gohan, and even Piccolo, who not so much like the others is crippled, but they just stare in astonishment. And even Pikkon smiles, knowing that the guy he met in Otherworld just literally achieved a form of the gods, not just Super Saiyan God. This is amazing. And Goku rushes forward, and he does dodge, but being regular UI Omen for the first time in the tournament against full power limit breaker Jiren just utterly dominates him. And Goku barely has answers for this, and he's reaching his peak. Piccolo knows this too, and he tells everyone they have to do something now. Otherwise, they lose. So he powers up. And Gohan, Beast Form, and Piccolo use a quote-unquote father-son special beam cannon. Kefla breaks her limits and becomes a Super Saiyan 3, because they were Saiyans and they broke their limits in the Tournament of Power. So for this, in this timeline, me giving Kefla Super Saiyan 3 pretty much for the first time, you can't really call it too freaking weird. It's a Saiyan, for Christ's sake. Vegeta turns back into Blue Evolved and uses a final explosion. Pikkon uses another Thunder Flash, and with all these moves, Jiren counters with a Power Wall and uses his eyes, his energy, and just everything to push the attacks back. And it's really stressful right now. All of these moves coming together is actually like the ring. You thought the ring was destroyed in canon. This is about to erase the ring. But just before Jiren's about to completely destabilize and get rid of the moves, Giant Orange Piccolo with the third eye just whoops from behind him and grabs him and just completely grips him there. And he yells to Goku, "Do it now!" And UI Omen Goku powers with everything he's got left and a full power Kamehameha. And Jiren realizes, so it's not just one universe that puts trust in each other. They actually put their trust in another. This is what it's like, universal trust. And Universe 11 is erased. But Caulifla and Kale, they're out of the fusion, and they just don't have any strength left, so they're knocked out. Universe 6 has to go, and they're erased. But plenty of people from Universe 7, they wish back all the universes. So, yeah, they ain't gone that long. If you think about it, the universes weren't gone that long, period. And like I said, the Moro arc, for the first time since I have included, besides Ultra Ego and Black Frieza and all that, since I am including Moro and Granola and everything, because it actually is going to be canon, I'm sad to say that even though I included Moro and the Galactic Patrol and Miras and everything, the Moro arc isn't going to happen because Ginyu effed it up and got himself locked in the process. Because of Ginyu trying to release Moro early, this means that even if the seal was broken, the Galactic Patrol, Miras's angelic powers, especially Miras, and other freaking, just interference, especially our group in this timeline, would mean that even if Moro got out, the arc would either go exactly the same or it would not even be a threat. And because Moro almost escaped early, this means that the lock on Moro would be improved upon like thousands fold. As for Granola, I can see the fight and the arc going almost exactly the same, bar it maybe like Yardret and stuff like that. So, without like bits and pieces from Yardret, I can see this arc almost playing exactly the same. Like I said, you take some stuff out. Granola would still want his revenge on the Saiyans. There's no Frieza, so it would literally just be a feud between Goku, Vegeta, Granola, and Gas. And as for Gas, like, what would become of him and, like, Frieza coming and, like, pretty much saving them? I can see Vegeta breaking his limits with Ultra Ego and, like, really getting the full field of finishing off Gas. And Goku's True Ultra Instinct and Granola helping, I can see them taking out Gas personally. And let's say that even if Gas, decrepit as he might be, somehow got the edge, I can see someone like Pikkon or something like that just helping out, or Piccolo with the third eye. But like I said, the arcs, even though I'm including them for the first time on this channel, the best you're going to get out of this story is Ginyu and Moro, because there's really just not much to go for them in this story, because there really just isn't. But that's pretty much the end of it. And what would have happened had Pikkon been chosen to be wished back, and if the other world actually got the due from its warriors that canon never brought. So, we end the Pikkon story, and honestly, one of, I think, my favorite works and things on a very good note. One might think that I rushed parts of this, but that's because, at first, Pikkon would only affect as much as his character would be involved in. Now, I could have had it that he just ended up, like, having whoever killed him in the past, like, appear as a character and create, like, a fan-made character for him. But I want to save something like that, especially for other world-specific people that we saw, like Olibu, Aqua, and Pikkon and stuff. I want to save that for maybe future ideas, especially ones that are, focused on them. This, even if I did go a little bit like, hey, let's give Pikkon and Piccolo from the start, it was just like, how could I not? Pikkon, like I said, is one of my favorite characters. I bet every Dragon Ball Z fan has Pikkon as one of their top faves. I guarantee you. And it's still to this day. Especially considering the fact that manga and Kai material has made him, Olibu, and so many others canon, if not all of them. So, and also, Olibu definitely was going to give him more character, because I teased him. Aqua, this would be the first time I've ever included him on the channel, and having him waterify the entire tournament at Power Ring gives Aqua's character. It actually, and having him eliminate almost half the roster is like, yeah, I was definitely going in hard with Aqua. That's because I didn't want it to just be Pikkon and Olibu at the very end. I wanted to give at least one otherworld character love and show not just that the fact that the story is about Pikkon, but other world fighters that deserved more screen time. And Aqua, even if he is puny, definitely was one of them. Heck, he was the opening knockout blow for Pikkon and himself in the Janemba movie. So, yeah. And Olibu, expect much coming from him. Aqua, not so sure yet. Anyway, yeah, I definitely went hard in for Pikkon. Definitely way more parts than others, because many parts I had to skip because there just was no point in doing them. And that brings us to a few other things to talk about. For one thing, this is the first time that I'm actually giving Jocko some sort of character arc, and having Ginyu swap bodies with him instead of Tagoma, because I wanted a switch up. And I honestly surprised myself with the fact I chose Jocko, because Jocko's an elite galactic patrolman, so no one, unless you're Maris, would expect Jocko have Ginyu possess his body and everything. Could have had him possess Bulma or someone else again, but I'm like, no, I have to do more with it. And this is the first time you guys are probably like, yes, you've included Ultra Ego stuff before, but why did you include Moro and the granola stuff? I thought that you didn't really do that. Well, if you guys have not been paying attention the past couple months here, or at least month and a half, Moro, granola, and all the manga stuff after the Tournament of Power, along with Super getting pretty much a remake with Super Beerus and so on, that is all now confirmed to be happening in fall and in 2027, and is now all canon. So that means I'm going to finally be putting in Moro and granola and all the heaters and all that manga stuff, very much so, in play for future stories. I've already teased it with Black Frieza and Ultra Ego, but those were just like the main takeaways that I wanted to put in. Not to say I didn't have manga stuff, but it was going to be exclusive from the manga to the show, since it wasn't really confirmed to be canon because it wasn't adapted. But that all changes as 2026-7 and onward. It's Dragon Ball exclusive. And that, I think we can all say. So the obvious takeaway from this is this story was one of my favorite works. Pikkon especially. And giving Piccolo the overpowered orange demonic freaking third eye, and like tying so much into other things, making Jiren an absolute monster in the Tournament of Power, and just getting to do so much more, especially with the Goku Black arc and everything like that. It just goes to show, like, even though many of arcs were skipped, I say that this overall was one of the best stories for this channel, even if many parts were cut down. So I do hope that you guys enjoyed the Pikkon story. And you can bet Otherworld Warriors onwards and stuff that was included in this story, like I've always said, I tease something and I bring it to justice. And that's what Pikkon was to me, and hopefully all of you. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this Pikkon wished back story. Stay tuned for Thunder's 3rd episode and Derek surviving the Scream franchise. After that, I'll pretty much be caught up pre-making stuff for now. Of course, you guys will never be able to tell. But I've said that before. Stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time as the Omniverse continues to grow.